Come on, we know you're out there. Come on, don't be shy. Give us a little like. Announce your presence. Ooh, we're 15 seconds. Hey, there we go. Numero uno. Hey, two. Alrighty, there you go, folks. Let's get them in here. All right, okay. Hey, welcome. We're at the Art of Fire Glassblowing studio. I'm Bruce. I'll be doing the narration and the camera work for you today. And today's theme is going to be shapes. And this is our first episode in 2021. And this is our 20th episode. We've been doing this since August 25th. Good morning, Lynn and Jen and Bridget and Liz and Jennifer and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Okay, so anyway, today we're talking about shapes, no matter what shape you're in. Hello, Rude. Welcome from the Netherlands. Okay, and Barbara, Joanna, all right, from the UK. So today we're going to be doing some different shapes that perhaps you haven't seen before, and we've got a couple of custom orders to do. Thank you, Jim. Happy New Year to you too. Okay, good morning, Amanda. Good to have you with us. But the first order of business is we've taken a little tour sometimes outside the studio, especially when I wanted to show you a couple things out there, but a number of you, in deference to Monty Hall, have said, what's behind door number one? Normally we have these doors closed because the light coming in just kind of disrupts the picture. But Josh is going to open door number one, so those inquiring minds that want to know what's out the back door, we're going to find out. So, wow, it's a field. It's a field of dreams here at the Art of Fire. Next door there is another barn over here, and this is run by Sophie, and she has a flower business over here, and they do staging for events and stuff like that. Now, I've been a little reluctant to wander over because I'm afraid it might be like the Little Shop of Horrors and I'd run into Audrey over there. No, not really. I'm just kidding. Anyway, sometimes we've spoke to the folks over there. They're really wonderful. But I'd like to show you what we have out here around back. And this is our own versions of Audrey. So about probably 10 years ago in the state, we had a art director that hired some artists to go around the counties and put up these paintings. And a fellow named Bill Dunlop did this. Now you can see that it's weathered and been here a while, but most of the artwork is still on there. The saying, the poem that's up there is a little hard to read. If anybody's interested, we can probably piece that together for you. But this has been up on the backside of the barn for, well, like I say, about 10 years. So there we go. So that's pretty cool. And this is the view out the back door. So when we want to go outside and cool off, we'll usually head right over here. So let's work our way back into the studio. Make sure that they haven't locked me out and make me walk all the way around. So, yep, I knew he was going to do that. I figured I'd come back. Fortunately, the padlock's not on it. Here we go. We got Foster and Josh here. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. How are you?
Okay, so we'll close the back door back up so that the incoming light doesn't destroy the pictures or anything. So first up today, Foster has got a custom order. You want to tell us about that a little bit, Foster?
Yes, we're going to be doing a violet long stem goblet for one of our customers who placed an order during the holiday season. And we told her that we would go ahead and show her how the long stem goblets were made. So that's what we're going to start off with this morning.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Bridget. It is nice to be back. I missed it last week too, but I did watch the video, and everybody did an admirable job in my absence. In fact, more than admirable. I thought about not coming back in today. Nah, I'm kidding. All right, and there's Todd.
Did you say adequate? I am flattered, sir. Not terrible. Not terrible.
Okay, so
So,
Foster will be doing this long stem goblet for you.
ready then?
And yes, sir, let's roll.
Ready then. Okay. So,
Let the camera roll. So he's picking up his violet color out of the annealer. It's been preheated to about 900 degrees. It sticks to the pipe that way. And he gives it a little kiss. No, actually, he just wet his finger to get a little bit of dirt off of the end of the piece of the color. On a gray day, glass blowing in the fire will brighten the day. Well, thank you, Suzanne. That's a lovely sentiment. Thank you, Lynn. I'm glad to be back. Okay, so Foster's preheating the color in the glory hole. For those of you that maybe haven't been with us before, the glory hole is simply a reheating oven. There's no glass in there. It runs at approximately 2,300 degrees. Most of them do. Sometimes we'll just set the heat back a little bit. But the idea is that it heats to heat the glass up really quickly so that we can keep working it. When we come out of the furnace, that glass is 2,000 degrees, and after a couple of minutes it loses a few hundred degrees and it's hard to work. So by having something that bumps it up even higher, we get that glass all soft again and can use it. And you'll see as Foster takes that out, the glass is no longer sharp and edgy. It's been melted in. He shapes it on the marber, and then he'll give it a little puff of air in a moment. The air trapped in the blowpipe is basically compressed air. He's taken the place of a fire truck, a tire pump right there. Okay, and you can see that that little piece of glass now has bulged out some, gets a thumb-like appearance. Okay, just how many different colors of purple are there? Well, Michelle, I will say that one of the more interesting colors of purple is black, because in the world of glass, I can't say for pure color theory, but in the world of glass, black is actually made from the same thing as purple. It's just so doggone intense with manganese that it looks black. But if we take a black color, something that we've paid good money for black bar stock, and blow it out too thin, it actually looks purple. As far as the rest of your question, in all seriousness, we've got about 3 or 4 varieties of transparent purples, and we've also got a couple of different opaque purples. And the differences in them, like I said, I'm not a color theorist or anything, but the way I understand it, purple is somewhere on the spectrum between blue and red. So your true purple is probably like an even mix. And then as you move toward a violet or down the scale in another direction, you might pick up more hints of red or more hints of blue in your purple. So that's how we distinguish them. Actually, we distinguish them by the manufacturer's number, which for the transparents are 12, 13, and 14.
And this is a 14.
And this is the 14, which is the violet color, which, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't it have a hair more blue, Foster, than the 12?
Yeah, amethyst is warmer, the violet is cooler.
Okay, so this is the number 14, which is called violet, and as Foster said, it's a little bit cooler, but it has more blue in it than the red. So it's all in the manufacturer. They have chemical formulas, put different metal oxides into the glass mix, and out it comes. So there's a little diversion you weren't expecting today, but I'm glad you asked the question, Michelle, because it gave me a chance to expound on something I don't fully understand. No, I'm kidding. It is true about the purples, and all the colors are made with the metal oxide. So Foster now has a gather over what he's picked up previously. He'll block this in place. This is going to form the cup of the goblet. The block he's using right now is a cherry wood cup, and he just shapes that up a little bit. It puts a skin on the surface, so to speak. It kind of stabilizes the glass a little bit, and that then has to be reheated. He's getting it really hot going into the glory hole there, and now into the optic mold. And again, he'll blow and trap the air under high pressure And when he comes out, we'll see the optic ridges. So if you were watching last week, you saw Todd make a heart-shaped piece out of a mold that actually formed the piece mostly in its entirety. And that's a mold that is actually used to shape the piece. These other molds we use are for decorative elements. This one is called the dip mold or a optic mold. It put those ridges in it, which gives us that optical pattern. A little more compressed air, and you can see the center core of that blow out, and now he's got a more spherical shape. A quick reheat. So you saw he really wasn't back at the bench very long. I mean, I've never put a stopwatch to it. Maybe one of you that wants to utilize your phone at home, you can see how long he has. Okay, start your clock now. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engine. We're going to figure out how long Foster has that he works this before he's got to go back for some more heat. Or if you really want to be creative, you can count how many words I say in the time he blows. Wouldn't that be an interesting way to do it? Okay, you can see the color changing on that. It's getting darker. That's because it's losing heat. Good morning, Diana. Good to have you with us. I checked with the calipers to make sure that it's the right size. And he uses what's called paper pegs here. Foster's one of the few artists that actually has these tools on hand. There's a fellow up in Massachusetts, David McDermott, uses them. David's a friend of ours, but it's an old school type thing. And I'm going to walk over here to that just so you can get a look at it. You can see how it's kind of pockmarked and burned. That's actually pieces of cardboard. They're cardboard tubing, and they don't steal much heat from the glass, and it allows them to shape it and cool it. And as Foster expresses it, he sets the sides. He uses that to stabilize it a little bit without extracting too much heat. I'll come out of the way and let the guys go into stem mode here. Foster has the glass on the end of the pipe. He'll take the jacks and actually cut a line so it drains off the pipe a little easier. Josh is over here with the piece held vertical. Foster drops it right into the center, and then when he's happy, he cuts it off. Good morning, Kimberly from Elkbridge. Bridget said the timeout was about 50 seconds. Thank you, Bridget. Okay. All right, Foster now is shaping the portion of the stem. You'll notice he's made kind of a conical shape on it, and this gives him his attachment point to the cup. Now that he's got that little ball formed on the end, he's not squeezing very hard. The diameter is not really decreasing a lot. What's happening there is that he's pulling it out. Now Josh has brought some glass over, and we're going to drizzle that on to the area we call the moil, which is the glass that's up on the blowpipe. Because this piece takes a little while to do, it's entirely possible that that could get cold and cause a crack into the cup. So Foster is now using the jacks to pull the stem out. You can see that little ball at the end, which has an indentation right next to it. All he does is put his jack blades in there and pull, but he had to go back for more heat. So once he does that, he'll come back, he'll pull that a little more, and we can see that he doesn't have the whole piece in the glory hole, only the stem. And that's because hot glass moves and cold glass don't. All right, now rubbing the newspaper on there cooled that area at the top, and you'll see now that the stretch, the pull, comes from the glass that's in the stem, not pulling it out near the cup. He'll take a measurement with his calipers to see how close he is to what he wants. If he's happy with it, he'll hand it off to Josh. There's the sign right there. When he pulls out the paper pegs, it sets the stem. Setting it just means cooling it gently and getting it a nice straight shape. So now Josh will take the pipe, he'll go flash that a couple times, and Foster will gather the glass for a foot. So the flash heats are just to get enough heat into this to keep it from cracking, but not enough heat so that it deforms. So Josh is kind of looking over the edge of it to see what he's looking at. You can tell a little bit by color If you see motion, you probably got it too hot. And there is no motion, but he's looking at it to make sure that it is still centered. He takes one last heat before Foster passes behind. And now same deal as with the stem. Foster uses a jack line. That's where the glass will actually flow from, that narrow constriction. Up he goes and onto the top of the foot. He'll cut it off, and then Josh will hold it level and present it to Foster, who is immediately onto it with his footboards. The footboards are a pair of wooden boards that are hinged together. One side is a little narrower than the other, and it has notches in it. And when this is all done, we'll give you a look at that, because I don't know that we've actually shown you what the footboard looks like. But by using that board to squeeze, he gets that beautifully shaped foot. Now it's a matter of tapering the foot, getting the angle in it that he wants, and flattening the bottom. And for that, he'll use a special carbon paddle. It's a very small paddle, and what he'll do is he'll apply it to the piece between the stem and the foot, and that'll give him the slope, and then he'll use it to flatten the bottom. So here we go with the mini paddle. So he's going to straighten it just a little. Now, see how he goes right in there against the stem, and the contour of that carbon actually helps provide the slope. Then when he gets it flattened, so we know it'll sit up straight on the table, he'll hand it off to Josh, and in the words of Jackie Gleason, away we go. All right, so Josh is back for another flash. I think we need to get Josh a red suit in addition to the red shirt so he can truly be the Flash. Foster's coming over with a little more glass on a pipe this time. Going to form up the punty, which is basically just like a little glue bit that's going to stick to the bottom of the foot. And it'll stick just long enough for Foster to finish the piece, but then when he wants it to come apart, he'll tap it and off it goes. So he aligns it on the bottom, and then as he turns the pipe and presses down with his tool, it aligns it and keeps it centered. Centering is actually one of the hardest skills in the glass blowing. Blowing the glass is not terribly difficult, especially when it's hot. Now, if it's cold, it's very difficult to do. But keeping the glass centered is a real tricky thing to learn. And it takes folks quite a while to learn how to do that and be consistent with it. And by centering, basically what we mean is an even distribution of glass around the central axis of the piece. So if you could imagine that iron that he has there, that steel, and think of it like a retractable umbrella handle, and if he punched a button, would it go straight out through the middle of the piece, or would the piece be sagging off to the side? So it's an extension of that center line, and that's what our centering is all about. You'll notice that he has the piece out of the glory hole so he can heat the cup. He's done with the bottom. He'll have to flash it once in a while to make sure it doesn't get cold and crack. And by looking at the color of the glass, you can see the concentration of all that heat up in the top of the cup. And that's where he has to work. That's where he's going to make it. Okay, so the steam cone is another fruit wood tool. Okay, and you can see it inflate. What's happening is the water on the cone goes into the hot glass, it evaporates, and the steam blows it out. Same principle as the steam engine. Well, that became a floor model, so it happens. Yeah, no problem. Todd ever ready with the sound effects.
Machine.
Yeah, the sound machine. Okay, so really, what happened there? Well, Foster put enough tension on it, worked it, that the punty just gave up. But it was a really good punty. We know that because it came off cleanly at the putty. The piece didn't break. Renee, it's not so much oh no, or Joanna, or any of you. Oops. Actually, you learn more. I mean, Foster doesn't need to learn more. He does this like maybe 1 in 100 times. But what I found learning glass blowing is you actually learn more from the mistakes. Josh is going to show you just how hot this glass still is. Might take a moment here. It'll begin to smoke.
You can see it's still pretty darn hot. Yeah, it just got cold. Maybe it wasn't as hot.
Go get a torch.
I know, grab a torch. Maybe it wasn't as hot.
The tricks that glass blowers do when they're turning down.
It was getting cold. Blow on it.
So all he's doing right now, actually, if we got a bellows or something, we could blow some air on it, and that would. Okay. So anyway,
Stupid glass.
but because it's cooling now, you can see the pretty nature of this violet color, and it truly is beautiful. So that was really just a matter of a little bit more torque than the putty could stand, and it came off.
What a way to start the year 21. But we like to get it. We like to get it out of the way early on in the process.
There you go.
The rest of the day goes nice and smooth.
Oh, David Hogan says gravity 1, Foster 0.
There you go.
I don't know, David. I was about to announce that you were the winner of the blue glug mug, but I think we may have to reconsider on that note. No, I'm teasing. We will be sending this. This is the giveaway piece that we had from last week.
And he wants the...
And it actually is David Hogan, the winner of the blue glug mug. And next week's piece will be this Jack in the Pulpit here. And Foster will be making one of those later on, okay? So this is the one that's the giveaway for this piece. So how, you may ask, do I get into the giveaway? You comment. So all of those of you that are commenting so far, your names will be entered in a drawing, and then come out, and we'll find out by random drawing who gets it next week. Rude, yeah, sometimes it is a little infuriating when something happens. Not so much in this case, as we're kind of loose on the time here and we're not worried about it, but I would have to say that if you're on a production schedule and you have X number of pieces to be made, and you'd only counted on making, say, 4 of them, and you wind up having to make 6 of them because you broke a couple, that's a little distressing, but it is the nature of the glass. In fact, I don't know if Michael Herman is checked in, but one of the things I learned from him in his time here was when things would go wrong, he would just look at the floor and say, "Stupid glass," which is really a pretty good attitude. So while we have a moment and Foster's reheating the next piece of purple, let's see what we got on display here today. So we have numbers on the pieces today. If you're curious about prices or would like to order, email or using the instant messaging, contact Theta and she'll let you know about prices. So number 1 here is a vase, and you can see the trails through it. And then we have what's called a reduction color, where we've actually used an oxygen-starved flame to heat the piece, and it withdraws the oxygen from the color. So, and there's Foster shaping up the color again. You can hit rewind and see how he did this before. I'm going to go ahead with the pieces. I'm kidding. No. Okay, so this number 2 here. Oh, I meant to tell you more about number 1. So you see those little lines in it. The color is picked up first. It's the reduction color, and then we trail clear glass through it. And that's what all those lines are. They're clear glass. And what they do is spread the frit apart, and then we make the piece, and then when you get to the end and you use the oxygen-starved torch to heat it up, the reduction happens in all the exposed color, and where we have the clear glass trail through it, there's no reduction taking place, and we see right through it. And we've got another one over here I'll show you in a moment. We've also got another sample over here where it's been raked. And this is a Jack in the Pulpit, as is this. They have a couple of colors in them, and here's another one with a multiple colored trail back here. That's really pretty, number 6. And we have the trumpet vases back here where they have a jade green bottom, and then a transparent color is added to them for the top treatment. This is one of the pieces you'll see Foster making later. It's called a 3-trail piece, and well, you can count the trails when we get to it. Right now, I'm going to show you, or try to, pick up this piece right here and give you a little closer look at what I was talking about with the reduction. That gold that's in the background there is put over a surface of red, and then the clear glass is trailed around it. When we hit it with the torch, which again is starved with oxygen, from oxygen, it sucks the oxygen out of the gold color and changes the appearance of it, but it does nothing where the clear is. And if I can get close enough and get light behind it, you can see through the clear and into the red. And that's what gives us that particular effect. That's number 9. All right. What else? This is called a fan vase right here, and it's got the same type of effect with it, but it's got 2 colors and more fan vases back here. This piece right here is a vase. It's a chalcedony treatment, which in ancient times alchemists and others decided they would try to make precious metals like gold and stuff. They never really succeeded, but they came up with some really great colors in glass and in the glazes for pottery. And so you'll see that a little bit later. Foster's back into the optic mold. He's got the ridges in it. And it's off to the bench. So, rigid time just before, he had about 50 seconds before he went back for a reheat. He's cutting his jack lines into it, and now he'll blow again. Watch the center core of this. Watch it go from a cylindrical line into a sphere. And that's because that compressed air's got nowhere to go but out in the glass. So make sure you comment. If you comment, that gets you entered in the drawing. We love the hearts. Oh yeah, and the thumbs up too. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Joanna. That makes us feel good. And if you have an opportunity, please share the video with your friends. I've kind of half-jokingly said it before. You probably have more friends than we do, but actually as a collective group, you do. And if you share with your friends, we'll get more viewership. Foster's blowing this out into a spherical shape, and then he'll take his calipers. What's that set on, Foster? About 4 inches?
Actually, right now it's at 3 1/8.
Okay, 3 1/8. So it's really important if you're going for consistency and size to make sure that you've got all your pieces cut to the same dimensions. Since it is hand-blown glass, it's not always exact. Sometimes there's a little individual variation, but that's the beauty of it. That's what makes it hand-formed glass as opposed to something that's machine-made. Foster's again going to gather a couple times to pick up his stem. Whoa. I'm not sure if it's Nancy or whom, but somebody has a comment, watching while donating blood. That's a worthy cause. We applaud that. Okay, so now Foster's got the jack line cut to make it fall away from the pipe. Josh has the piece held vertical, and there we go right into it. Foster will cut it off. Now watch how he shapes this to begin with. He pushes in against it and lets it broaden against the body. Then he holds his jacks at a bit of an angle to create a slight taper. Now with the jacks skewed like that, one blade next to the body and one outside the stem, he puts that kind of golf tee shaped into it. Josh is over gathering more glass on the end of that iron Foster just used, so we have the moil wrap. Josh will bring it over. Foster's pulled this out about half to 2/3 the distance he wants. He's going to let this glass drip around, and if you notice off to the side, the stem is getting misshapen, but that really doesn't matter, because as soon as he applies pressure, he straightens it right back out. He's cooling near the body so that the part stays cooler. Wow, Nancy Hansen Jeans is already finished with the blood donation. Took 15 minutes. That's great. All right, so now Foster's reheating the stem. He cooled the portion up by the cup a little bit. He may again, and he is. That keeps him from pulling there. See where the stem is fat near that ball? That's where the extension is taking place. And now the stem is much more uniform in shape, and that ball will get covered by the foot in just a few moments. Quick check of measurement for the stem length, and here come the paper pegs. That's always a sign that he's ready to go. He doesn't do that until he's got all the measurements right. A hand off to Josh, and away we go for more glass. So you'll notice when Josh flashes the piece, after he gets it in there, he pulls it all the way back out of the heat. That's to keep it from getting hot. Now there is a little reflected heat from the glory hole, but not so much to be concerned about. But these frequent short heats are what allows the temperature to stay constant. Once again, the jack lines help the glass to separate from the pipe. It would still drip if we didn't do that, but it's much easier this way. A quick drop on the top and a snip. So Josh keeps it centered for him as he brings it over and gives it. You'll notice it's a little lopsided. That's why Foster's hitting it. Not that it's a bad foot, just that it needed a little bit of straightening. He pinches the glass between those two metal boards, and there's that really delicate and beautiful foot forming. A nice sharp edge on it, and now it's time to shape it up. So again, he'll heat the top of it a little bit, and then he'll come back and he'll shape the bottom, the foot, with his carbide paddle. It's a little bitty thing, so he gives it a little bit of straightening for flattening the bottom to begin with, but then he'll come around to the other side and invert it. You see the profile on that tool? It's curved away from him so that it gives him the slope in the foot. And then after he straightens that out, I hand off to Josh and we're ready for the transfer.
My buddy's hotter this time.
So normally we say the nervous moment is when you do the transfer and it breaks off. But as you saw, sometimes it can actually break off later, and things happen. But the beauty of it is we can get right back to it. So Josh is turning the pipe, keeping an eye on it, and he'll keep it turning until Foster hooks up with the punny. So one advantage in Josh turning the pipe while Foster goes to make that connection is that the true center of the piece appears to stand still while it's turning. Now, if you were here with one of our first episodes, I told you how I couldn't play center field worth a damn because I could never judge whether a fly ball was going to go over my head or land in front of me until it was too late. But I've since found out that good outfielders can actually track the ball when it leaves the bat. And if the speed is constant, you're standing in the right place. If the ball appears to accelerate, it's going over your head. And if it appears to slow down, it's going to drop in front of you. What the hell does that have to do with glass blowing? I'm about to tell you. Josh was turning that piece while Foster attached the punny. And the next time we do a punny transfer in here, I'll try to get a shot of the bottom of the piece. Everything except for the center of the piece appears to be in motion. If there's color or any marks on the glass, they'll keep turning and turning. But the dead center of the piece doesn't appear to be turning at all. That's also why you saw Foster use a piece of chalk earlier to mark the center of the bottom of the piece. If we can find the center, we can get this accurately placed. So there we go.
For the life of me now.
What's the saying? Once bitten, twice shy? Nah, he's not bitten. He's not snake bit. He's got this. So yeah, sometimes too, we just apply a little extra force, say, hey, I can get through this and power through it, and something like that happens. So you see the concentration of the heat. So watch with us and watch with Foster as he looks at the color as he moves the piece out.
So
And
Bruce,
then-
is he letting his jacks spring open?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah. Why?
I'm just curious. So no, actually, a lot of it's downward pressure or upward pressure. So it's not really letting the jack spring open so much, is he's actually lifting up on it. And that can sometimes pull it off. And that's actually what happened. He was actually...
He lifted it?
Yeah, he was actually
Lifted it.
pulling down on it and actually...
The downward force pulled it off?
Kind of pulled it off, yep.
Yeah, so the point Josh is making is that the jacks, where they contact the cup, is what causes the opening. So he did let them spring open some, but you can see he's alternating between the top and the bottom of the piece. So he's inside the piece. He's at the top, we're talking about the edge closest to his face, the lower portion down toward the floor. And there we go. All righty.
Yay.
Yay!
20 minutes late.
So when I answered Josh, I was thinking about when Foster had to close his blades to get into that tiny opening and then come back to it. But as you saw, he was pushing at the top, pushing at the bottom alternately. So a little bit of water here on the putty and a little sound. Okay.
There we go.
And a gorgeous piece into the annealer. Okay, so there we go. What do we got next today? Are we going to go with the 3-trail now?
I think so.
Okay, so we've seen the piece that's not on the program, and that was the custom piece that Foster just did. And so next is going to be what's called a cobalt colored 3-trail, and this piece over here has the trails, and it's got some clear bits added to it that trail up. It's a footed base.
Yeah.
Okay.
We having some discussion on that?
No, I
We're
think
gonna
he was
go-
just surprised.
Oh.
You know, like good Boy Scouts, we're always prepared.
Always prepared, yes, I guess that disqualifies us. Okay, so anyway, another thing to mention to you is a gift certificate. And we have these. So, if you'd rather not order online and have a piece shipped to someone you know and love, go ahead and get them a gift certificate and they can pick out whatever they want. We can do this online. You can go to our website and get one. And that's a great way to give a gift without you having to wonder if they'll like it or not. Then if they don't like it, it's their own fault. All right, so Foster's going to do the 3-trail piece next. Oh, he's doing...
I don't know. I was just thinking about it.
Oh, you're thinking about killing that one? Okay, now we've already killed a piece today, so we don't need to do any more. And we'll have fan vases and a splash vase. So we got all... Oh, you know what? I'd only got part way through our numbering system here. So let's go back and pick up this Jack in the Pulpit with the multicolored frit trail through it. That's a really lovely one. This number 7 here has a jade green base, and then it is on white, so that's why the top part of it appears to be a different color. On these fan vases back here, you can see a different color in the bottom than you do in the top. And for instance, this one with the gold color has the jade green bottom. This one with the red on top has a aventurine green. A really beautiful piece. And we've got two in the back there, numbers 12 and 13, which have a jade green base and then a pink and a blue fans extending out from them. Valentine's Day is coming up, folks. Get your heart orders in. We can get these in most any color you want, and we'll be glad to make them for you. Easy enough to order. artoffire.com. Call us at 301-253-6642, and we can get you one of these for your loved ones. So, we're erasing something. Sometimes we overplan. We
Like
get
it
a
never
little
happened.
bit more on, like it never happened.
Yeah, when
I want to know how you got that off of there without a lot of green smear. I'm not very able to erase all that. Okay. Oh, I told you I was going to show you the footboard. Hold this for just a second, Josh. I'm going to go over there and grab that.
and they're in the outer bucket now.
So this is a footboard. So one board is taller than the other, and the short one has the notches in it. And when Foster takes the glass and pinches it, this footboard doesn't fit this, but you get the idea. That's how you pinch it and form the foot. So you hold the backboard perpendicular to the floor, so it's all nice and straight, and close the front board in against it. Thank you, sir. And those also are made from cherry wood. Any fruit wood would do, but the idea is to get something with a nice tight grain, and they stay in water their entire life. What did they have to make twice? A goblet. Okay, so anyway, sometimes it happens that the pieces come off the putty. A little excessive force. All right.
And the putty was cold.
And the putty was cold. So that's why it's really important to watch your heat and gauge what's going on. So this piece, the three-trail vase, going to involve a little more glass than what the goblet did. So he's got a larger iron on there, I believe. Did he get the 1 1/4? Or did he keep the 1 inch?
Just the 1 inch.
It's a 1 inch? Okay. He's going to gather up more glass this time, simply because he needs more volume to work with. Remember to comment. That's how you get entered in the drawing for next week's prize. Congratulations to David Hogan for winning last week's blue glove mug. And next week we'll have someone else that wins our red Jack in the Pulpit. I'll give you a quick look at that right here. This is the prize for next week. Todd, Rosalind Ocker says hello from California.
Hey!
Hey! We got a response from him.
I just had to finish the screen.
Yeah. Okay. Love the matching t-shirts. Actually, we've all got them on today. Yep. Now you know where all the red t-shirts went and why there aren't any more available. And I'll show you some of those in just a minute. You can always buy a t-shirt from us. Foster's got the blocking in on that. Foster, what's your base color in there?
Cobalt.
Cobalt. Okay, I forgot. Okay.
Say hey to everybody for me, please, Rosalind.
Oh, now he wants to talk. Yeah.
Work.
Okay. So Foster's let that glass cool off. Were he to gather too soon, the heat from this gather would penetrate the glass he's already done, and then he'd have to be starting over with it basically, because the bubble would pretty much disappear. So by waiting just a little while and letting it build up some stability, He's able to gather over it. You can see the dark core as he comes by, surrounded by the hot clear glass. So when he dips the pipe downward like that, he's letting it lengthen a little bit. He's just trying to get the glass to go off the pipe a little bit. Every once in a while you'll see him, after he blocks the glass, point it downward a little. There's always gravity around here, so whenever he wants the glass to lengthen, he just points it downward. All right, here's some of our shirts. We've got these beautiful gray shirts. We've got Violet's design of the Happy Cats. We've got shirts with the tool set on the front, and I believe Foster's getting ready to go into the mold. There he goes. It's a slightly different mold this time. It's got more ridges in it. It's a little bit wider.
And it's
So
carbon.
there we go.
And we got to keep it warm too, so it doesn't get cold in the
Yeah,
winter.
he don't want it to get cold in here. So you can see how that compressed the glass back up toward the pipe, and by using his jacks at an angle like that, we can actually see him push the glass off of the pipe some. And that's going to give him more workable glass, and he's got a nice spot then for his jack line, his point of separation. He's cooling the bottom with the newspaper so that when he blows, that doesn't blow out. You see the color differential? It's not quite as hot up at the top as it is the bottom. It's already turned kind of cobalt and the bottom is orange. He's going to solve that right now with an application of heat. He twirls it around doing that airplane propeller move.
So yeah, it's a pretty interesting mold. It actually came out of the industry, I think West Virginia, but it is made out of graphite. And Foster just keeps that wrapping on it because it is graphite and it will chip. You can actually see some of the chipping at the top there.
Yeah.
So he does that to protect it. But a really nice mold, and it works totally different than the aluminum molds. So just a really great industry mold. You can really see the nice ridges on the cobalt.
And how does it work different than the aluminum?
It steals
less heat.
Yeah,
for one
steals heat
thing.
differently. Yep.
So you can see where the hot glass is, so you know that's where it's going to move. He's got his paper pegs out, setting the sides in the shape of that bad boy.
Means I gotta go to work, I guess, right?
I guess you got to go to work. Alrighty, and Bridget, nice to have you with us, and catch the rest of the show later on. For those of you that may have joined us in progress or may have to leave, we do put this up on YouTube afterwards, and you can link to it from our Facebook page, so there's no reason to miss it.
Are you doing the free trails now?
Yeah.
You have out the free trails?
Yes.
They're working out the details now.
Piece of pipe should be okay.
The missing link.
See, we're Boy Scouts, right?
Yeah.
Always prepared.
Always have your tools on hand. Okay, so what Foster's doing right now is one of the three trails. He's going to thin that out some and then let it come up the piece, and then in a moment he'll snip it off, and now he uses this piece of pipe to insert a design element into the bottom and cuts a groove with his jack blade. Beautiful. And since this is a 3-trail vase, guess what's next? Number 2. So he uses that piece of pipe to run a line right up, and it divides it. So when Josh brings this back over, we'll take another good look at it, or maybe when he comes out after the next flash.
Yeah, and the pipe actually has grooves cut into it, so it kind of gives it a flower pattern if you look closely.
Ah, yeah. Okay, so Foster will take 2 gathers again, and once more he'll take it and elongate it into a cylinder. You can see how it's a ball right now, and that would not trail up the side quite so well. So by rolling the pipe on the marver table, he gets a more cylindrical shape. They set the angle where it goes, plants it. Now he'll come up and snip it. Takes the pipe, creates the flower impression on the bottom, and then from the other side, we'll see if we can, there he goes. All right, there you go. Creating a line right down the stem of the flower. Beautiful. All right, 2 down, 1 to go. Gather, print, repeat. Well, they do say that the 3 most profitable words in the history of marketing are lather, rinse, repeat. And I believe it. Okay, so Josh will take a couple more flashes while Foster gathers twice. And in case you missed it the first 2 times, you'll get to see it again. It's really a beautiful vase. All right, so Josh heads to the bench as Foster comes by. Yes, Kristen, it is going to be beautiful. So there he's formed a cylindrical shape on it. Notice that the glass is still wiggling around. He continues to turn it, and then he plants it firmly. Now, as he drags up, it thins out, and that's how the stem line gets thinner and thinner toward the tip of the top of the piece. I'll press down in the middle, shape the top of the flower, and then once again, divide the stem of the flower. Beautiful. All righty. So now Josh is off to give it a flash and reheat. And it's time for a foot, I think. Foster will do a little bit more manipulation and whatnot. The 3-flower trail has to go on before the foot, obviously. And he may want to go ahead and reshape that just a little bit, manipulate the glass. Let's watch. All right, a little bit of air to inflate it some down at the bottom. And then by holding the jacks at the angle, see how he's reduced the diameter about 1.5 inches or so below the tip of the flowers. This is going to make things fit a lot better for the foot. With that really wide right there, the foot would look a little bit imbalanced. Checks for the right footboard, and off he goes. Do I mean beautiful? Yes, Ted, it is beautiful. Thank you, Joanna. We do think it's really awesome. It's a beautiful piece. Josh keeps checking out down toward the furnace just to make sure where Foster is in the process. He doesn't want to do those last flashes too early, or there won't be the heat in the piece. So he waits for Foster to come by. Up we go to vertical. And he cuts it off. Josh keeps it centered and turning. Foster makes sure it's centered and balanced by simply tapping it. And now, in with the footboard and a gentle squeeze, The back blade, the one furthest away from Foster, is the one that you're concerned with pushing into. And you can see that nice sharp edge foot form, and now he's off to finish shaping that. What other stamps do you have? Well, Mary, we've got a skull stamp. We've got a raspberry stamp. We've got a 4-leaf clover stamp. So a raspberry, isn't it?
Oh, yes, raspberry.
Raspberry, yeah, there we go. Okay, so now Foster's got that little carbon paddle again, flattening the bottom, and then puts that contoured shape up in it, just to make it the foot conform to that profile. Flattening again, and then it'll be off for the punty. And we've gotten a couple of stamps recently. You know, Michelle, I'll look up in the comments later on. I saw you said something about translucent colors and the fact that the glass needs to be so hot to drip on. It's conceivable we could put translucent, we could put more color into that, but it's much better to pull off with the clear glass than using a transparent even or translucent. And we actually do have a small furnace that we have used from time to time to make color. We don't do it very often, but we have in the past. Foster's got his punty attached, and I forgot to show you the bottom of the punty as he attached it, but we'll get that on the next piece. All right, so it's still pretty hot. You can see it wiggling around. He needs to get the front end of the piece into the heat, which he's done, and you can see that the back end of it is still wiggling around. Thank you, Rude. Foster, Rude says, nice shape. We think so too. No, he said shape, not shake. He's talking about the glass, not you.
Thank you, Rude.
I think Rude is going to thank me for not having that on camera. Okay, so now you can see that it's stabilized a good bit. It's not wiggling around on the punty as much. So every once in a while, Foster will flash the foot and the punty so they don't get cold. You concentrate the heating mainly on the lip of the piece. Wiggly glass, yes it is. And actually we kind of like to keep it pretty close to that condition, because if it's too stable, it's probably getting a little too cold. All right, so you can see all the concentration of the heat from the intense orange color.
Yeah.
He's got his, put one blade in just to make sure he's got room. There's on the lower surface of the opening, and that's increasing the size of the throat, or that area just behind the lip. Now he's going to cool the lip a little bit so it doesn't get too hot.
Okay, now I'm going to swing it out to get the length.
So, you heard the man. He's going to swing it out. We're going to do a little swing out, sister. Okay, so he's heating the upper half of the vessel, and then he's going to watch it lengthen. Now he'll judge the amount of spinning and swinging to do by how the length goes. So he's got his eye on it. Look, see his eyes? Just like a tennis match, he's watching that ball move back and forth. Okay, so now he's getting there. You'll also notice that the end of it became triangular, and that's because of the weight associated with those trails. So we might get a look at that when he comes out again. Toward me for 1 second, Foster, and there's the triangular shape. Thank you, sir. That's all caused by the extra weight, okay? So where there's extra weight, the glass pulls, and where there's not, it doesn't so much. Now by using the jacks and turning the pipe, he can take that triangle, he can soften it, or he could take it all the way back to round. Barbara says it looks like you're really close to the ground when he swings it. Well, Foster first learned to make this piece when he was about 4 inches taller and 35 years younger. But he's adjusted as he goes along. I'm kidding. He knows exactly where that glass is all the time.
He never hits the ground.
Never hits the ground. We can't reach the cereal on the top shelf, but we never hit the ground. Beautiful. Look at that, folks. That is amazing. Wonderful. All right, another quick flash in there just to make sure that the body is not too cold when he takes it off. Josh has the glove ready for him. Foster's saying, let's back up this way so I don't hit the beam overhead. A few taps around with the butter knife, not to knock it off. That would be unfortunate because nobody's got a glove under it. This chills it right there and creates a fracture point. So we want the glass to break right there at the punny. Once he's done tapping, he'll give Josh the butter knife. Josh will hold the piece up, a whack with a hammer handle, and off it comes. Beautiful. All righty, way to go. And there's the finished piece. Wonderful. Great work, guys. Foster is also a semi-professional whack-a-mole player. He has a special hammer handle that he takes to, what is it, Dave & Buster's? Yeah, Dave & Buster's when he goes to play whack-a-mole. There is a whack-a-mole league, right? Yeah, on Monday nights, whack-a-mole, yeah, got it. Okay, great. Now that was a beautiful piece. Let's go on back over here.
So Bruce, while you guys are looking at this, I'm actually going to pick up 3 colors. That's going to go into this guy.
Okay.
It's just 3 colors I'm going to pick up on a punny. It's going to take a little bit to heat up, so I'm going to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
And then I'll wait to do the fun stuff till you come back over. But yeah, we're going to be making...
Well, I'm going to explain a little bit about that since this is going on. This is what we call a chalcedony piece. Some folks pronounce it chalcedonian. Doesn't really matter a whole lot, but this is what we referred to earlier, where alchemists and others were trying to recreate either precious metals or stone, a look of agate or something like that. And the colors in this are particularly important. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And I'll show you the rest of the pieces again in just a minute. How is that piece just made identified again? Suzanne, that is a 3-trail vase. And that one was in cobalt blue, so we called it a cobalt 3-trail vase. This one right here has a white background with blue dots on it and the 3 trails. So the base colors and that sort of thing would be your choice, of course. And this one right here is numbered 8, if you want to talk to Theta about that. But we could put any colors in the base of it, and then it's got the 3 flower-like trails on it, okay? So back to this guy, okay? So we have 3 colors that we're going to use on this, and they all have special characteristics. They're what's known as striking colors. They change with the application of heat. And not only that, they interact with each other chemically, okay? So we're going to take a walk down here, because what Josh is doing right now is really probably some of the most interesting prep work. So he's got a piece of what's called a striking blue and a striking green. How do they label them at Kugler?
They silver.
Silver green and
dark blue,
silver dark green. It's because they actually do have silver in it. And when you put the silver metals into the glass, you get this striking effect. Now you'll notice that 2 of them are the same size and one of them's a little bit smaller. The green and the blue are the 2 larger pieces on the back. On the other side of it is a color called copper ruby. The copper ruby interacts with the silver blue and the silver green, and we don't have a whole lot of control over what colors come out, but depending on the chemical combination, they can actually come out with some colors that don't even appear in the base color.
You get browns, purples, greens, yellows. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is truly like one of a kind. We can't say we know pretty well how it's going to turn out, but we don't know exactly if you're going to get a lot more brown or a lot more green or anything. And so what he'll do right now is he's rolling this on the marver. He's making sure that the three pieces of color are welded together. They're on a small, straight, solid iron. We can't make anything with that, really. Well, I suppose he could sculpt a turtle or something, but that would be kind of funky. Now, what he's going to do after he gets this all twisted up a little bit and round, he's going to put it on the end of a blowpipe. So he's getting the outboard end of that color, the color furthest away from the pipe, extremely hot, so that when he does put it onto the blowpipe, look at the color difference. You can see the end of that is a lot brighter than the rest. So now he's starting to twist the red around the blue and the green, and they're all going to mix in. Once he's done this a bit, he'll finish up the twist and the mixing on the blowpipe. So to do that, Foster's going to take the blowpipe over to the bench. I'm going to get out of their way. And Josh will be coming over. And you'll watch the glass fall away from him, and then he'll flip it. He flips it, now it falls down the center. He attaches it to the blowpipe, and then he'll pull back on the iron he's holding. He's actually twisting it a little bit now, getting a better mix on it while it's so cotton picking hot, and then he'll cut it free. And then Foster will take that to reheat it, and the mixing continues. So right now he's getting a pretty good twist between the silver blue, the silver green, and the copper ruby, but he's going to make that even more pronounced, and then he's going to take a pair of tweezers and start pinching it and pulling it upward a little bit to mix the colors even further.
Poor guy didn't know this was going on.
No, he didn't.
So there was a little bit of clear out on the end. He's grabbing that to cut it off, but it also lets him turn the pipe and twist it. And now he's got nothing but color on there. So there's a lot of chemistry involved here. I don't fully understand all of it, but I do know that the silvering is what makes the colors work that way. And then that's also what contributes to the interaction in the different colors.
Silver nitrate.
And then the copper oxide.
Yep. He's got a lot of heat in that. And now watch how he starts picking it. He's just grabbing little bits and moving them around. The tricky part of this is he doesn't want to create any air gaps. It's got to be all melted together. If he creates any air gaps, there would actually be holes in the color when the piece is blown out. So by picking this up, laying it over, now you can get a really good idea. The red in there is that bright color. So he's getting a really good mix in this of the copper ruby, silver blue, and silver green. You're also going to roll that on the marver, because all those places he picked it and lifted it, that changed the profile, brought it up a little bit, and introduces the possibility of an air gap. So by smoothing it out a little bit, he presses the glass back together. So when it's pressed together like that, it becomes one uniform piece, no air gaps. If you've got any questions, fire them out. Let us know where you're watching from today, or perhaps how it is you got involved with the art of fire. What is it that brought you here, and why on earth do you keep coming back?
That's right.
That's what we want to know. I'm kidding. We're glad to have you. It's a lot of fun. So Josh will probably do this 2 or 3 more times. Even though that looks extremely well mixed, he's going to have a lot more. So watch with us for the dark areas and the bright areas. And you'll see that he grabs some of that bright red glass and moves it around. And then you can see the streaks of the blue and the green moving. You're also beginning to see a little bit of color change, I hope, where they're interacting. You're starting to get a little bit of brown in there. Medford, Oregon. Okay, Joshua, welcome aboard. When you transfer to the blowpipe like that, it is harder to get the air bubbles started. No, not at all, Michelle. It's really no different than if you just picked up a large piece of color, heated it, and blew into it. This large piece of color just happens to have 3 colors in it.
Looks pretty good. I think we'll go with that.
Okay, so he's got the mix done, and now what he'll do is he'll start shaping this, and then Michelle, since you asked, you're going to see how easy it is to blow into that. And actually, he's not going to blow that out a whole lot. When you put the first bubble in, you don't really expand it a whole lot. I'm not even going to say the city in New York where Mary Grace is from.
Good try. What is it?
What?
What is it?
Take a track at it.
Yeah.
Canajoharie? Canajoharie? Canajoharie. Okay. So anyway, he'll take the block now and get a more uniform shape. You're going to see that horizon forming. He's pushing back on it a little bit to get a little more under control. And we're going to take a real close look here at the color pattern in there, so you can see where that mix is. It's all very hot. Okay, so Mary Grace says I was pretty close in the pronunciation. Made my day. Okay, Joshua said he used to be a lamp worker and he did some punty work. All right, cool. All right, so Josh is going to let this cool off a little bit. Oh, cool. Val O'Neill says she started watching Blown Away and was in awe of that, and then somehow Art of Fire showed up on her news feed. Then she started watching us.
I think season 2 is coming out end of January.
Yes, it is. January 22nd.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's great.
This is as good
You won't.
as.
You'll find the corny jokes and the teasing here, but I guarantee you're not going to find the high drama. This is a very undramatic place.
A lot less innuendo.
We like to, yeah. Double entendre, that's right up our alley. Okay, enough of that. I don't want to encourage anybody. All right, so Josh has got another gather on there, and he's going to shape it up. Oh, I started to say when he was using the block before, the ratio of the length to the diameter of these gathers when you first start blowing is very important. We want to get about 2.5 or 3-to-1 ratio. If the glass is too long and we blow into it, the air thins it out up near the pipe. If the glass is too short, the air bubble runs all the way down to the bottom. And then we have trouble controlling the piece. After that, it's more likely to crack. So we get the right ratio of length to diameter on the glass, and then when we blow air into it, we're better able to control things. It's after that point that we go about lengthening or shortening the glass. David Hogan says, encourage, way too late. Yeah, I kind of got that, David. That one was directed to you, buddy. I don't need much encouragement either. With me, it's more a problem of applying the brakes. But I must say, we've done well. Okay.
Yeah, and you could say thank you to everybody who's been watching us during from Halloween through Thanksgiving and Christmas. We appreciate your support. We really appreciate you appreciating us, and we made some nice work for a great group of people who watch us. Thank you.
Okay, cool. And Suzanne just said that this would make a great egg for the Easter season. And we actually do make pieces that we call eggs, and we have a different color design for those. Those are on our website. but this would actually work quite well too. It'd be very interesting. So now you can see this massive amount of glass. Josh just wants to flex. That's really what this is about. He's got a larger block, just like the, was it the Roy Scheider character on Jaws? You're going to need a bigger boat? Yeah, you're going to need a bigger block. Okay. You can see that glass is really moving around a lot now. That's indicative of the heat. He's using the paper to shape it and also control it. The newspaper is folded to about 8 thicknesses. About 8 thicknesses are laid out, and then it's folded several times to where we get, pretty much like an 8x8 pad, and then it's soaked in water. So the combination of the compressed paper and the fact that it's wet provides a perfect insulator. And that's how he's able to grab the glass with his hand. And in fact, what I'm going to do right now is sprinkle a little more water onto his paper so that the next time he comes for it, it doesn't burn up on him. So all it takes is a little bit. If we soak it in the water, it becomes like paper mache. So you can see from the marvering he did and letting it elongate it, we've got kind of a diamond shape, a double taper to it, and now he's simply evening that out some. When he cools the bottom with the paper or the marver, it keeps it from blowing out too much there. Let's follow the expansion. See that at the top of the piece? Whereas the bottom still has that reservoir of thick, clear glass. By shaping it up into this kind of football shape, he'll take a reheat and get going on it again. Once he gets this blown out to the proper amount of glass, or thickness of the walls, I should say, sometimes you lose track when you're trying to walk and talk and sprinkle water at the same time, pardon me. Okay, so there we got his paper wet for him. By angling down a little bit, but rolling it on the marver, it lengthens but not too much. The marver actually acted as a stop. He blows, it's expanding further now. You can see his clear reservoir at the bottom is not quite as deep. We've also got a much larger bulge in the middle, and he's got his jacks on it. Here, and this thing generates a heck of a lot of heat, so we'll shield his arm. There we go, getting a jack line for the separation. You see all those colors coming together so beautifully. How much you figure that weighs right now, Josh?
Probably 6 pounds.
6 pounds, okay. But don't forget, don't compare it to picking up 6 pounds off of your kitchen table. It's on the end of a 4.5-foot pipe. So that magnifies the feel of it. So Foster's going to put a paddle up under his forearm, keep it from getting burned too much, or at all, really. You can see the colors mixing in there. This is going to be a beautiful vase. Okay. So it's really important to get that jack line cut tight. When that jack line's cut tight, it ensures a smooth break off when we transfer to the putty. If the jack line is too wide, if it's not cut deep enough, the glass actually has a more tendency to shatter, because when the tension is released at the break off, it tends to spring apart. Notice he's pointing it down just for a moment and then up onto the table. The marver is cooling the bottom, and it's also stopping the lengthening. Just that little bit of cooling allows him to finish up, and here we are. That's probably pretty close to his finished diameter. Now what we'll usually do is get the piece a little bit larger in diameter than what we want for the final vessel, because when we swing it out, it gets narrower. So yeah, it's a big piece of glass, and it's requiring another set of doors in there just to get in and heat the thing up. So I'll back out of the way. So Josh is going to heat this up. You're going to lengthen it a little? Yep, okay. So that's what we were talking about. It's a larger diameter than he actually needs. And this swing for height is narrowing it. And you can see that happen. Also, where the colors are different, it puts a little bit of a facet into the surface of the glass. That's why he blew in it. And now what he's going to do is shape the bottom with his newspaper.
Yeah, let's go through this.
Now it's a matter of making sure this stays warm. Foster's going to get what we call a cheater. No, this is not a Lifetime television thing. The cheater is actually the little bit of glass that we put on the bottom of the piece. It just ensures that when we take it off after the piece is finished, that the puntee doesn't break through. Foster's going to bring the bit over. He'll present it nice and level to Josh, who will grip it with his jacks. And he'll flip it, and he'll put it right in the middle. And as he lifts up and keeps turning, the glass burns itself off. And this little dot of clear down on the bottom is what will prevent the piece from breaking off when we do the transfer with the puntee. Josh is going to get the bottom flattened so it sits nice and level.
You can start to see the color striking towards the top.
Yeah, up here where it's cooling off. So the striking action occurs from heating and cooling. So if you heat it up, it looks like the normal color, but then when it cools off and then you reheat it, that's when the glass strikes. That's when the chemical interaction takes place. So Josh has got the piece in hand. We'll make sure the bottom is flat. Foster's made the puntee over here. And in just a moment, we'll stick it up and transfer it. So if you look right at the center, it stands pretty much still. Now Josh is pushing down on with the tweezers if he detects a high spot on the puntee iron. In other words, as the puntee turns, if it appears to lift up, all he has to do is push down. Torching the neck there so that it doesn't get cold. A couple of drips of water and then striking the pipe. Todd stepped in with a pair of jacks there. That's something that we quite often do, especially with some of the larger pieces. The jacks isolate the vibration. Basically, glass breaks from vibration. So next time you drop a glass on the floor and it breaks, it was because it vibrated. And so anyway, by putting the jacks into that neckline, when Josh hits the pipe, the jacks prevent the vibration from traveling any further. If we didn't have that, the vibration would continue down to the puntee. In most cases, we don't need it because it's not going to be enough of a vibration to make the puntee come free also. But usually when we have a floor model, it's because the piece broke at both the neck and the puntee. The ends were equally weak and they both let go at the same time. So Todd stepping in with the jacks there. Thank you, Todd. Jackman. Okay, it's Todd stepping in with the jacks there, isolated that vibration. It kept it from traveling through the piece to the puntee that Foster was holding. So there you go. How many excess words can we use to describe what happened? But actually, understanding it, I think, is really part of it. So I hope you're enjoying the explanations. If not, tell my boss. Okay, so now we've got the upper half of the vessel heated. Josh is using the paper. Now the jacks will start to open. See how he lifted there to the upper surface? That's what's opening it right now. The jacks are not much larger diameter than they were. By raising his hand and changing the jack angle, his teacher will let him answer the questions. No, by raising his hand, he creates the flare in the end of the piece.
Sometimes I just can't help it.
Yes, Kay, we do agree. The colors are beautiful. And it's going to be even more beautiful when it comes out of the annealer because they'll all be evident. Easy for you to say, yes. What is the style color? Well, it's the color is what we call chalcedony. So now we got everybody working on this but me. I'm the worthless one. Josh is raising the jack angle, creating the flare at the top. Todd is flattening the lip as they go. And Foster is providing Josh some protection from the heat.
Don't sell yourself short, Judge. You're a tremendous slouch.
Okay, so it goes in to heat the whole thing. It's kind of hard to see from this angle. Then he pulls it back some just to heat the top. A little more flare on the lip?
No,
Nope.
that's good. Now just straightening the bottom.
Okay, so now he's going to get enough heat in it so it'll respond to the touch and he'll get the shape he wants. If he sees a little bulge or a spot he needs to work into, he'll pinch that with the paper. And that's what he's done right up close to where the flare starts. The line was just a little bit bulged, and now he's got that beautifully done. Todd comes on with the paddle to flatten the lip, and now look at the profile from the widest part down to the lip. It's completely uniform, and that's what he was working on. What? He's heating the bunny back end of it now. Okay. And yeah, somebody said something about his feet at the glory hole. That yoke down there is on a runner. It's got 4 wheels, and by pushing the yoke in further, he changes basically the balance point or fulcrum so that he can hold all that weight out at the end. A couple of quick flashes. Let's get a good look. Oh man, now look at those colors. And they'll look even more vibrant when they come out of the annealer. So now a little water right where the cheater and the punty are joined. A little tap and it breaks free, and off to the annealer we go. Okay, great job, Josh.
Thank you.
That was really
I really
beautiful.
love those pieces. Those are really fun to make.
Yeah.
A lot of work, but it's really beautiful. It really
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Oh,
Excellent.
Joyce says it's beautiful.
Well, she says it's
If
beautiful.
she says it's beautiful, that's the bottom line. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Maybe I can ask her if I can make one and bring it home. When you're married to a glass blower, you got a lot of glass to deal with. Okay. Thank you, Foster. Thank you, Todd. Thank you all for joining us. Okay, let's come on back up here and see a little bit of what's going on. So, here's a finished copy of the same vase. And you can see how the colors created some different, not only patterns and swirls, but actually some different color in there. I can detect a little bit of green, a little bit of brown. We had the blue and the silver green in there, and the copper ruby, when it strikes, gets this really beautiful color.
I think the one we just made is nicer.
You think the one we just made is nicer? If you would like it, if you want that one that you saw made, contact Theta right now. She'll get in touch with you about a price and how to get it. It's just, it's absolutely beautiful stuff. So that was the chalcedony vase. Now Foster's going to be doing what we call a luster fan vase, and then we'll do a splash vase. No, we will not have Daryl Hannah and Tom Hanks in that. Okay, so let's take a look at the stuff I've been kind of ignoring today. I explained the process with the vase number 1, where the clear is trailed over and then the glass color is reduced. Same thing back there with number 2. Number 3 is one of our trumpet vases. It's a green over green, a jade green and a transparent green. Number 4 has a peach color over the jade. 5 is a jack in the pulpit, and so named because of the flower the shape imitates. Here's another one with, instead of a straight stem, it's got a bulbous body. And have you ever had a punny that is not even on the piece? I'll get to that in just a second, okay? I really should highlight this stuff. Here we go with white over the jade green, and another jack in the pulpit. There is the 3 trail vase that you saw made earlier, but the one you saw was cobalt. Let's see, 9 is a small fan vase, again with a clear trail through the gold and then reduced. 10 is a fan vase, and so is 11, different colors. 11 has the aventurine green topped with red. This one has a gold color, also with copper ruby. 12 in the back is a green and pink, and then we've got green with a blue-green or teal over it there. All fan vases, and the yellow over the jade green. 15, if you would like to get this, if somebody beats you to the one you just saw made, is also a chalcedony vase. We call it a teardrop shape, basically. I don't know of anything else to call it. And David Hogan was the winner of the blue glug mug for last week for commenting. Name got entered in a drawing. Keep your names entered and you could win this jack in the pulpit vase right here. So we're going to get started on the luster fan vase. So you will get to see a fan vase made. That is what these are right through here. If you've got any questions or comments, please let us know. And by all means, share with your friends. The more coverage we get, the more people we reach, the way better it is for all of us. And if you need to reach us, you can go online to artoffire.com or call us at 301-253-6642. We have an online catalog that has way more pieces than what you see here. We can make any of the stuff you see here or in the catalog from most any color you want. While Foster's getting ready down there, this is our wall of color back here, okay? Phil Spector had the wall of sound. Art of Fire has got the wall of color, okay? So, looks like he's ready. He's got some color on it. Yeah. So what have we got for a base color here on the luster, Foster?
I'm sorry.
What do we have for a base color on this luster base?
It's black.
It's black, okay.
Black, yes.
All righty.
And the fan bars. So get the black, and that's that manganese.
Yep.
That manganese.
Oh,
black.
this is the super dark purple that we call black?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yep. Also known as Reichenbach 54.
Uh-huh. Actually, when it stays concentrated, it really does look black. But if we goof a little bit and blow it out too much and thin it, then it takes on a kind of a purplish hue. If we find that's happening, like we're making a really big piece, we just use a lot of black. Oh, we got some light on the subject now. Let's see if this makes things any nicer for you. Okay. And hey, just because the season's passed doesn't mean that ornaments have gone out of fashion. So if you'd like one, give us a shout. 301-253-6642. Go online, or maybe a friend wants one and you can get them one of these handy dandy gift certificates, which can be emailed to you for printing, or we can send it directly to the person you want it to go to. Valentine's Day is coming up. Think of some colors that you might like to order a heart. Get one of these made. Todd demonstrated one last week. I'm sure sometime between now and February 14th we'll be doing it again. Okay, Josh is nodding his head. Yes, oh, you can count on it. Not only will we be making them for you, we'll be making them for people that order them. Okay, Foster's got his super dark purple, otherwise known as black, on the end of the pipe. And he's cooled it enough that he's able to gather over it now for his first gather for the fan base. You can see the clear glass surrounding the color center. And he's going to use the cherry wood block to shape it. See, it's a little bit lumpy right now. It's just a little lopsided, and that's just comes out of the gathering. But by using the hand tool like this, the block, he stabilizes it and shapes it. That little dip down is really effective, a very graceful move. It also lengthens the parazon a little bit. The blocking tends to push the glass back sometimes toward the pipe. Watch the central core grow as the pressurized air goes into the pipe.
This is a fan box, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He's blocking right now not only to shape it, but also to help cool it. He doesn't want this hot if he's going to go in and gather again. Parazon, what is that? That's a glob of glass on the end of a blowpipe. And I'm sure there's probably some French derivative for that.
Hold that for a second.
Okay,
Do you want to bring a...
okay, they're discussing what's going on now. I think basically it refers anything that will be pear-shaped.
Yeah, what's para?
So here is a sample. I would call that a parazon shape, and that's also what we see in the block. Okay, it's kind of, no matter what size the block is, it's kind of pear-shaped. Okay, and that helps with the concentration of the glass into the areas you want it. You wind up not having too thick a glass up at the blowpipe, and you can have a larger volume down just a few inches. What was cobalt that dropped at the bench? Actually, it's purple, Mary Beth. That was the first piece we made today, and it was a purple goblet. We're getting direction here and talking at the same time, so we got to wait a second. So now what Foster's doing is rolling the hot fresh glass into the gold. That's gold frit, and he's going to coat that completely. And in the meantime, what's happened is Josh has gone over and gathered up some clear glass. He's going to bring this little bit of clear over to Foster, and Foster's going to attach it and then just start drizzling it in a random pattern all over the surface of the glass. When that clear gets onto that frit, it actually kind of pushes it aside a little bit, but it also prevents it from reducing when we hit it later with an oxygen-starved torch. So now that little bird's nest that wraps that whole thing is going to get heated up. Yeah, there's your little bird's nest of clear glass all around it, and that's going to provide the area that does not get reduced. So wherever that clear is, when the piece is finally finished, you'll be able to look through and you'll see the black. It'll be thin lines of it because the trail is not particularly thick, but it'll be really elegant, and the area where it's just gold exposed will actually reduce. Reduction. Oh, looks like Patrick Foley's been online to the dictionary, but I think there's more information that I can see on the screen. So we'll figure out where parazon came from in a bit. All right, so Foster's blocking it to get it a nice, smooth, uniform surface. And then he's going to blow it out a little bit. Oh, so back to the reduction. Okay, from French for prepare. Okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so it may not have anything to do with an actual shape. It's just like, get ready.
Yeah. Prepare that glass.
I can see an apprentice coming into the studio and somebody saying, get ready. And the apprentice saying, well, what do you want me to do? Anyway, this pear shape is essential to what we do with this. You can see how it's wider out toward the tip. It stays narrow at the pipe. He doesn't want a lot of glass up at the pipe. He wants as little up there as he can because that's not going to be useful if it's up on the pipe or overhanging. So here he comes with the jack line for separation. He pushes it away a little bit, and now some more blowout. When it goes horizontal like that, it becomes more of a sphere. And you can see that's almost like a perfect ornament shape right there because he picked it up and went horizontal.
Should be a bit on the heavy side.
There we go.
Might break off the arm of the Christmas tree.
There you go. But anyway, yeah, when a glass blower holds the iron horizontal, he's more likely to get a spherical shape. If you point it downward, it's going to elongate. And if you point it toward the ceiling, it will actually get shorter. Right now, he's marvering the tip to cool it so it doesn't blow out excessively. Reinforce his neckline a little bit. The chilling of the bottom keeps it from blowing out there, and now he's got that spherical shape going, and that's what's going to swing out in a few minutes into the fan shape. So, it's so easy to get sidetracked. But back to the whole thing of reduction. You see that torch sitting over there? Looks like a weed burner. Well, it's hooked up to a propane tank. It does not have an extra oxygen supply. If it did, it'd be burning a lot hotter and faster. Foster's going to elongate the piece, but you'll notice the top of it is still kind of wide, and that's intentional, okay? Most of the lengthening in this is going to take place in the lower half. See how it's a tapered cylinder now? That's because of where he applied the heat. That propane torch burns without a lot of oxygen. The gold color that he has on there is a well-balanced color, but when exposed to an oxygen-starved flame, the color actually releases the oxygen molecules into the torch, and that's what causes the color change. No?
No, you made that up.
Why do you not use the glory hole for reduction? Well, I'll tell you, one of the best reasons is you don't want to walk around and be messing with all the controls. Now, some facilities have a foot treadle that starves the glory hole of oxygen so they can do an on-the-spot reduction. But since we've got the torch right here, we figure, what the heck?
Yeah, we don't. We make a good bit of these, but not enough where we put a foot pedal in
Yeah.
to add more gas. So just easy enough to use the torch, and the torch does a nice job getting that silver.
Yeah, so all of us use the torch on that, but like Josh said, there's not that much of it to be done that we really need a foot pedal and all the associated hardware. You can see we got enough stuff sitting out in front of the glory holes anyway. All right, so here we go with the foot application again. Foster has a larger iron. He's got what we call a handle iron. Picks up more glass. The larger the iron, the more glass you pick up. Josh is going to bring this up vertical, and Foster will drop the foot onto the end. When he clips it off, Josh actually turns it a little bit and balances it so it gets a little better centered before it gets to Foster. Even those few seconds are important. The back blade is pressed against the glass and the front blade is slid toward the foot. That's what gives us that nice sharp edge and begins to shape the profile of the foot. Yes, Suzanne, baton twirler training in action. Okay, so now that he's got the foot formed, he's going to shape it with that carbon tool again. We're going to come in a little closer, a little bit of flattening on the bottom. And then when he turns it over and goes to the other side, the narrow edge next to the body helps him create that taper and profile on the foot. Once he gets that done, he's ready and happy with that. Josh will take a flash, and off we go. Patrick Foley says the torch is much more fun to play with. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, Foster's coming over. I'm getting up off the barber so he can form the punny. How difficult is it to get the foot flat so the piece doesn't wobble? Oh, we want to take a look at this while it's turning. Foster, I'm just going to step in beside you. You're watching. If you look right at the center, it doesn't appear to move much. The outer area, see that little bubble that's right at the bottom of the foot? It goes all the way around, okay? But where Foster concentrated on the center, it appeared to stand still. Foster would make a great center fielder. Have you all demonstrated the bucket effect? I'm not sure I follow that. Do you know what the bucket effect is?
The what effect?
Bucket. Have you all demonstrated the bucket effect yet?
Oh, what's that, the crackle?
I have no idea. I mean,
Who's
if it's
asking
crackle,
the
Mary
question?
Beth.
Mary Beth?
If you're talking about crackling, yes, we have done that where we plunge the glass in a bucket of water and crack the glass intentionally. Beyond that, we're at a loss.
Yeah, that's where you get surface shrinkage to occur.
I don't know. We can kick the bucket. What does the white bucket do, crackle? Well, the white bucket happens to be full of water, but any of the buckets full of water will crackle. You don't have to have a white bucket to do that. Don't even have to have a Home Depot Homer Special. We can do that in any bucket in here. All right, so Foster's using the steam cone now to inflate the top. Ah, she was talking about the crackle. So we know Kraken instead of crackle because that's from Moby Dick. Anyway, Josh is going to bring us over a crackled stemless wine glass that's been crackled in water. So depending on how much reheating you do after you've crackled it, the white bucket with air hose next to the furnace. There's a white bucket over there and it's just got water in it. And it's not next to the furnace, it's next to Josh's glory hole. This piece was also done with a crackle, and you can tell what happened with it was the interior color, the white, came out through the red when it crackled. And we did a bunch of, well, let's get over here and watch this, because this is how we do a fan. By using two blades of those thick jacks. See how Foster draws that together, then sweeps down the length. Now, he's going to do this a couple of times just to get it nice and straight. Whoa! All right, buddy? That's why we don't have a foot treadle for reducing. What?
More 10 a.m. martinis. Thanks, Foster.
Yes, Kristen, the crackling can affect the strength of the piece if you're not careful with it, because I made one yesterday and it broke. So you have to be really careful when you crackle that you only stay in there for a couple of seconds. But notice how he's using those jack blades to give it the same width across the fan. And he also, okay, here we go with production.
And there, oh, and it hit the floor.
Then it hit the floor. Okay,
Yeah,
there's the
it's
reduced
a floor
plate.
model.
Floor model.
Floor model.
Okay.
I'm not doing it over again. We're going to go on with the next one.
Okay. All righty. So, yeah, it happened. All righty. So, yeah, the one question was, why do you use the steam cone instead of the soffietta? I was about to say that Foster has an aversion to things Italian, but that's really not true. He was trained in the use of the steam cone. Plus, steam cones are a lot cheaper than soffiettas, and steam cones don't mark the glass. Sometimes when you use a soffietta, if the temperatures are just not right, you can actually get marks on the piece from it. And you don't get that with a steam cone. So they're going to clean that up. And somebody had asked a question about the strength of the piece and the crackling effect. And Theta answered it correctly by saying, not if you do it right, okay? But here's an example of one I did yesterday that I didn't do it right. And I've got a crack in addition to the crackle there, okay? So it can happen that way. And sometimes, if the crack goes all the way through, the piece will split in half, all right? So the key to it is using your experience or developing experience so that you don't leave it in the water too long, the cracks don't go too deep and all the way through the side wall of the piece. Then when you go to reheat it, it doesn't break up on you. Okay. Suzanne says she thinks there was an earthquake causing vibration in that area of the floor. And that's a very astute observation because we'd already told you that glass breaks from vibration. So, good one on you, Suzanne. Foster's going to be on the phone with, what's the supply company?
Which one, Olympic?
No, the supply company, parts and stuff, fan motors and things.
Oh, Granger?
Who?
Like Granger?
Granger. He's going to be in touch with Granger with some of those huge floor isolating elements, those things that are like 4 huge bumpers. We're going to install those and stand on them while we work. Nah, I'm kidding. What is the horizontal white bucket for that is next to the dirt furnace?
Horizontal white bucket.
I'm sorry, Mary Beth, that made no sense, but we'll try and figure it out for you.
Up by Foster's Glory Hole? Is that what she's referring to?
You know, all our buckets are on the floor facing upward. Is this what you're referring to?
Give us a hot or cold. You're getting hot or you're getting cold.
Okay, if anybody's curious, that's just a device we use. Yes, that's where we can get different finishes on the glass sometimes. Okay, well, let's get right back into things, okay? So that was the luster fan vase, and we're going to do a splash vase. And, oh yeah, David Hogan, congratulations. Actually, it's white on the inside because of the spray. It is a regular old trash can. Okay, always happy to accommodate. All right, so here we go with the blue glug mug that David Hogan got last week. Those of you that are commenting, you'll get entered in the drawing for next week's prize, which is this beautiful copper ruby Jack in the Pulpit. A beautiful piece. Okay, so there's those, the freebies. This is a small fan vase. Pretty much the same treatment as you just saw Foster doing, except the core is red instead of black. More fan vases here. Combinations of colors vary. This one's particularly beautiful. What kind of flower does that represent? Somebody was talking about that the other day. The aventurine green and the deeper red.
I know Theta's going to come in and tell us.
Oh, okay, maybe Theta will tell us because we don't know. Okay, all right. Well, this was a sample of a crackled piece. We've had the Jack in the Pulpits there. Here's another vase with the finish on it where we've done the reduction. Trumpet vase is back here, the peach and the green. And here's another Jack in the Pulpit with a really beautiful Fritz swirl pattern. There's the 3 trail piece that you saw made earlier with the cobalt blue. And so that's that. Don't forget the hearts. And we've got all kinds of ornaments. And please remember a gift certificate for the friends that you can't decide what they really want. Let them pick it out. Okay. So Foster's got color on there. What color we got?
Cobalt blue.
Cobalt blue, everybody's favorite. Poppy, thank you. That was the color, the aventurine green and the red. Poppy color.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Very nice. Don't forget to comment. That's how you'll get entered in the drawings. And please share. When you share these videos, we get more viewership. The viewership's been going up pretty good each week, so we're happy to see that. We'd like to reach out to more and more people, and we thank you for the help. You can go online to order pieces. If you want to order a piece you've seen made, just go online, let us know. You can do it in the direct messaging here on Facebook, or call us at 301-253-6642. All right, so Foster's got that cherry wood block out again. Shaping the Parazon, which we will continue to consider to be a shape, even though it appears to mean get ready, prepare. But again, the shape of the Parazon, as we call it, also harkens back to what I said earlier about the importance of the ratio of length to diameter. If that ratio is off, the bubble doesn't come out into the glass correctly. All right, here we come with the next gather. When Foster holds the pipe up like that, he's letting the glass drip off back into the furnace. That means it's reusable and can be there for somebody else or him when he comes for another gather. Whereas if he were to just drip it in the bucket, as we've shown you how before, it would be unusable until we remelted it. He's going to take his block, apply pressure, and change the shape of this. You can notice if you look at the diameter and the length, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. The bubble expands out into the glass, and now he's off to the glory hole for a reheat. Send us some likes, give us some comments, share, let us know what's going on. If there's a particular piece you'd like to see made, even if you're not ordering it, go ahead and send us an email, let us know. How often do you fill the glass in the furnace, and how is it done? Good question, Cheryl. Usually either once or twice a week, depending on how much work's been done. And the way it's done is the temperature of the furnace is raised a couple hundred degrees, get that glass in there really hot, and then we have what we call batch, which is a dry concoction of the silica, sand, and limestone.
They're on railing blues.
Yeah.
Some batch.
Anyway, we get that. We get maybe 100 pounds of that. This is what it looks like. This is the batch, the powdery substance which we mix up, and then that's shoveled into the furnace, and it melts down. It's not just a simple quick shoveling. Usually it takes place in a few stages, and we let the glass mound up in the middle of the furnace, and it melts down. And once it starts melting down, it's a little bit chunky, but it starts to level out, and then we'll put another load in. And then after we get that all in there, it cooks. And while it's cooking, it's melting, just like the witch from The Wizard of Oz. And then we go ahead and we fine it out by changing the temperature. That causes bubbles to rise to the surface, and then the next day we've got glass. What's the total process, Josh? About 10 hours of a melt?
Yeah.
About 10 hours or so, okay? I mean, there's time involved in running the furnace up. Do you ever make a color glass in your furnace? Not in this furnace, we don't. Foster's working on this piece though, So I'm not going to get distracted by running around back, but I'll show you in a little bit what our little color furnace looks like. So spinning the pipe around now elongates it. You can see the taper toward the end. Here comes the paper pegs. No, we don't have to cool the marvering table or cool water in the buckets for being in the summer. No problem there. Okay, so we've got the cobalt blue vase body. Foster's off on his way to gather glass for a foot, and he'll be back down here in just a moment. We'll see that. Does the weather play a significant role in the glass blowing process? In some ways, the humidity of the summer can have an effect. It has a great effect on the glass blowers.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
There are a few chemical elements that can be affected by extreme humidity, but for the most part, we're going to have a little gold foot on here, huh? Oh, this is the trail. You do a trail?
This is the
My
splash.
bad. Okay. I thought he was headed straight for a foot. My bad. Okay, so here we go. So they'll get both of those hot.
Well, you know what?
What's that?
Here, let's switch.
Who says you can't change riders in the middle of a stream? There we go.
All right, Josh.
Fell right off of that horse. Okay, so now he's got the gold on there, and then he's going to trail it down. By using the end of the file, poking into the glass, he pushes that upward, and the thick part of the glass. There we go. That's the splash portion. So it looks like water after you've dropped a rock in it. Speaking of dropping rocks, no. Lost communication. You don't know how fortunate you are in that route. Okay, now we ready for the foot? Yes. Okay. Actually, if I'd have read the list on the wall, I would have known that was a splash base, and I would have known what this next step was. So Foster's got the gold color, was mixed in with the clear, and that's what the splash is on the bottom of the vase. And now we'll apply a foot and off to the races. All right, so he wasn't satisfied with the way that one was working out, so he just cut it off and he'll go gather again. David Hogan says, no more dropping. The floor has been fed enough. Okay, so now he's got a good substantial gather of glass on there. A little jack line to ease the separation anxiety of the glass from the pipe. And he'll just drop it right on top of that splash for the formation of the foot. Now see how Josh is turning that a little bit. That way if it is a little bit lopsided, Foster has a bit of a head start. A few pats with the paddle. Now the back board is what it pushes against. You bring the front board into it, and you get that nice knife edge on there, the beautiful profile on the foot. Once he's happy with the diameter and the thickness, he'll heat it up, bring it back, and use the carbon paddle to shape it. He'll start out with the carbon paddle flattening it a little bit, come back to that in a moment, but right now, that profiled edge of the carbide is what gives him the slope on that foot. Really easy way to do it instead of using the jacks. He's flattened the bottom and off he gives it to Josh. We'll have a flash and a punty made. So this will be the last transfer we do. So what I'm going to try to do is get a view of this so you can look at the bottom of the foot as Foster is coming into it. Josh is going to be continually turning the piece. So right now, focus on that foot and you'll see that the center appears to stand still. And if you look at the outer diameter, you see it moving. Okay? So Foster's going to find the center, which is standing still, turn the pipe, and off he goes. Well,
So much for that.
it wasn't to be.
I think it was David Hogan.
I think
jinxed
David
it.
Hogan jinxed us. I'm teasing David. Yeah. Hey, that's life in a glass blowing studio, right? I mean, we can, anybody can edit. Anybody can take a video and show you something to perfection. And in fact, in some of them, you might even see where they spliced and you don't know they broke a piece. But we bring it to you warts and all.
What?
Thank you, Foster.
Yeah, some days you're the windshield, some days you're the bug.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so there you have it. Oh, I'd mentioned the color furnace. Let's just take a real quick look at that. I think it's still around here. It's a very small furnace. You might be able to see the angle iron frame and the bricks in there. We've just got this sitting back in reserve. This holds what, about 80 pounds, Josh?
Yep.
Holds about 80 pounds of glass, and in that we can actually melt color. But because we don't do very much of that, and it's not part of our regular production, that's kind of a thing we just use when we want to screw around some and have some fun with something. But we don't normally melt a lot of color. So there you have it. These are the pieces we've been featuring today, and we've enjoyed having you with us. And let's see, today Foster would be the bug. Yes, that's Michelle, right. That would be correct. But hey, you know, sometimes it's like that, and you can't get upset about it. You just power on and look at all the other beautiful stuff that's here anyway, okay? So there you go. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.